So let's talk about Terrifier a little bit. I'm curious, from working on the first one to the second one, did you, what was like the main difference for you when you were composing for Terrifier 2 compared to the first one? Was there any like kind of a different approach that you wanted to go into with?
The first one, I did a lot of it on tour because schedule, I was in South America at the time, and we were doing Mexico, South America. So when everybody else was having fun, I did like a good 5, 6 days in my hotel rooms. I had a mobile rig that I was doing because of the schedule it was on. And then I finished the rest of it when I got home in like a week. So the first one I literally did in like probably total time 2 weeks,
Oh, wow.
maybe 10, 14 days. Where the second one, so it was, I wouldn't say it's rushed, but it was definitely like, okay, I didn't really think about much of how I was going to take each cue or like how I was going to approach it.
Mm-hmm.
With Terrifier 2, having 3 years to do the score because of COVID, because of delays and the shooting, because it was originally supposed to come out in 2020. So having that extra time, I will say, was great because I got to mess with a lot of ideas and things that I probably wouldn't have tried if I would have been under like a 2 month.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to keep going back to it, so it was always fresh. And it was so much music because it's like 2 hours and 28 minutes or whatever. I mean, so it was a lot of cues. But yeah, so I like being under duress and having to do something really fast. It's challenging, but it's also nice to know that you have almost unlimited amount of time to make this thing great. So a lot of people say they like the first one more. That's more raw. The second one's a little more ear candy, and there's some orchestral elements to it and different instrument palette. But yeah, the first one I did in like 2 weeks, and the second one I did in over 2 years. So
Did you incorporate any, like, since you're on the road, was everything pretty much digital, like in the box, or did you have any analog gear with you? And on the second one, did you kind of get into more weird
organic.
sound designy things?
The first one was pretty much all in the box. It was all plugins, and then, well, no, I shouldn't say that. There's some Moog on there. There's a Juno on there, but for the most part, it was all plugins, especially the stuff I was using when I was on tour. The second one has tons of organic instruments. The second one actually even has my little dog in it.
Really?
Yeah, I would. I think I've told this story before, but I had a little Pomeranian, and when you'd give it a bath, it would just scream in terror. Hated baths, but besides that, it's a perfect dog. For whatever reason, did not like water, so I would give him a bath, and one time I mic'd him, just doing the thing, and then I would filter it, and you would never know, but it's under a lot of the cues in Terrifier 2.
Nice.
If you really listen, you'll hear it.
I love stuff like that where you create a sound using something that you would never think of for that sound. So
Yeah, this movie I'm doing, The Art of Killing, right now, I'm using a lot of back masking, which
nice.
I've never messed with too much, you know. I mean, taking samples and of different like exorcisms and like just bizarre stuff that I have a library of, and then completely filtering it so you can't tell what it is. There's a lot of that stuff in the new one. I also like sounds that are felt more than heard, which aren't even really audible to the ear, but you feel underneath. It's like the weight of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been trying to take that approach more especially with the movie Stream, where you'll feel some things that you can't necessarily hear.
So is it more low frequency stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And sometimes it's things that only happen for not necessarily stings, but just like little hums that you'll hear for 3-4 seconds and then they go away. Just to kids, you know, I think this score will actually freak people out to listen to in headphones. That's the other thing I'm focusing more on this film with, like a lot of panning things and positions. I don't usually mess with panning too much unless it's something I want circulating. This time I'm trying to like really put things in weird places where They just come out of nowhere for a couple seconds and they're gone. So that's kind of the approach with that film that I'm working on now. I always try to do something different with every, trying to keep it fresh.
When you said backmasking, I immediately thought of there's a plugin company called Freak Show Industries. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they have a plugin called Backmask, and it's so ridiculous. I'll send it to you, but they have like quite a cool collection of really fucked up, like demonic, weird plugins, and there's one called Dumpster Fire, but like, yeah, I love the kind of, the eerie like reversing of sounds and like, adding white noise and just completely fucking things up. But they're a great company.
Yeah, making it unrecognized. I used a lot of on Terrifier 2. I also used a lot of mandolin, but it was so filtered, and I would use it distort the hell out of a mandolin, and like you would never know it's mandolin. And then add Ebo to it, just because it's completely different than using a guitar of any.
Yeah,
it's real tinny and real. So I always try to look around and see like what can. Also, things in my house, like can that make noise? Can that candlestick holder do something cool?